From the station that's working for you, you're watching Fox 4 News at 9.
Hebrew inscriptions. It says Dybbuk.
And where are you?
It's the Hebrew word for demon.
A frightening story of possession by an evil spirit, the plot of a movie.
It's based on a curious box now owned by a Missouri man. Fox 4 Abby Eden joins us now with this paranora detail. Abby?
John, Susan, Jason Haxton says when the trailer for the movie The Possession says it's based on a true story, they aren't kidding. He says much of the horror in the movie is based on something he lived through for years. We should advise you, don't watch this story with the lights out. As the sun sets on another autumn day in Kirksville, Missouri, the dark night will once again shroud a frightening secret hidden in the northeastern Missouri town of 17,000. It's not in any of the coffins buried in the cemetery. It lies within a small wooden box. Unassuming at first, but believers in its power think it could be responsible for this. This is an exact replica of the box, blamed for years of horror stories dating back to the late 1930s. It's a box made to hold bottles of wine, but now it's believed to be inhabited by an evil spirit, or in Yiddish, a Dybbuk, the Dybbuk Box. Jason Haxton bought the box on eBay, but not without some drama.
What's weird is when it hit my last bid, all the people that were competing against me got shut out.
According to Haxton, 5,000 people drawn by the mystery surrounding the box were watching the auction. He bought it for $280.
They actually wrote me to say what happened. So it was as if the box wanted to stay here.
The box ended up at the Museum of Osteopathy in Kirksville, where Haxton is the director. The first thing he noticed was the smell, like cat urine. But then it seemed the box could change its odor.
If we threatened to get rid of it or do anything to it, it would create this jasmine, sickly sweet smell, which I think it thought was good, but it was like, oh my gosh, that's as bad as the cat piss smell.
Inside his box were 4 pieces of granite, one with shalom engraved on the front, a ceremonial Hebrew drinking cup, an octopus-footed candlestick, 2 locks of hair, rosebuds, and pennies with the dates 1925 and 1928. It didn't take long for the box to make an impression.
And upon receiving the box and opening it, I put my hands on it and closed my eyes just to see if there was a feeling for the box. And instantly, it almost felt like it washed away into almost like a liquid state. I only had to open my eyes to see if it was still there.
And immediately after that,
all of a sudden, as if someone took a knife and started coming up my gut.
The next morning, as he's splashing water on his face,
I look up and there's nothing but bloody eyes staring at me back. And it's like, oh my gosh. My wife comes in, it's like, what have you done to yourself? It's like, I've done nothing.
Doctors tell Haxton his vision is permanently damaged, even though up till then he'd never had a single eye problem in his life. It was just the beginning of years of terror and bizarre physical problems.
To suddenly gain 30 pounds, to be coughing up blood and choking constantly, to break out in welts, I mean literally blisters, and only to find him vanish and then reappear. To be flushed with a fever constantly, and then it just would go away. There was no explanation.
Fed up with the bizarre things happening while the box was around, Haxton sought out experts in Jewish folklore and culture.
It says Dybbuk.
And where are you?
It's the Hebrew word for demon.
Haxton found out the original owner of the box was a Jewish woman who had prayed for an answer to the question of why so many members of her family were killed in the Holocaust. The answer, so the story goes, came in the form of a Dybbuk, a cleaved spirit.
Sometimes if you wish you make a wish, things don't come in the way you want them to happen.
Faced with a devilish spirit that came in answer to her question, the woman supposedly trapped the demon in the box because of the torment it was causing her family. Renee Perlmutter teaches Jewish folklore at the University of Kansas. She says Dybbuks are believed to have the ability to cleave or stick to a Jewish person on earth while trying to gain entry to the next world.
Dybbuk is not a righteous spirit. That is a spirit who has sinned in their lifetime, and they're stuck between heaven and hell, and they're tormented in this kind of a limbo state. There's no limbo in Jewish culture, but this is the closest that you can come.
Paxton believes if there's a spirit in the box, it could be the spirit of Harry Laughlin, a man who fostered anti-Semitic laws in the United States in the 1920s, laws that Nazi Germany adapted to use in the Holocaust. Laughlin was raised in and buried in Kirksville, Missouri. While he was fascinated by the history behind the box, Paxton was sick of the trouble it caused. Rabbis and scientists both told him to bury it. Rabbis said it had to be buried in an ark made of acacia wood, the wood of Solomon's temple, and lined in gold.
In theory, the scientists and the rabbis were saying the same thing, and so that's what I did for different reasons, and it stopped the Dybbuk box. And that's all I care about.
The box has been buried for several years, but Paxton used to bring it out from time to time.
I've only got it out on a few occasions. The last time I did, unfortunately, our pet dog stuck its nose in it. She yelped as if someone had kicked her. She couldn't get away from it fast enough.
The dog aged quickly. Paxton says the veterinarian couldn't find an explanation for why, and she had to be put to sleep. The box has been packed away since then. Paxton won't tell anyone where it's buried.
I don't recommend people mess with it, and I don't myself. We put it back away, and that was it.
While the box was buried, the interest in it was not. Paxton hired a writer to do a book about the box. He had to finish it himself after the ghostwriter got spooked.
Within hours was calling me saying, I can't do this. My child is now spitting up, has a strange flavor. There's scents all over my house. Things are happening that are just too extreme to be coincidence. I can't write this.
The story got noticed by Hollywood, and Possession was born.
His truth.
As for the box, Paxton refuses to sell it. Although he's gotten multiple offers, he believes it's come full circle, and the spirit inside is supposed to be in Kirksville, especially if it's the spirit of Harry Laughlin. Paxton vows to be buried with the box, but his son has said he's not sure he can do that. I asked him about the money he made from the movie. He didn't tell me how much it was, but he said he used the money to support and educate children from Vietnam. He felt something good needed to come out of all of this. Kind of a spooky tale to be told, but
glad we had the lights on.
On this Hallows Eve.
We warned you. Yes, yes, right before Halloween. It's given many people nightmares.
You a believer?
Did you experience anything strange?
I will just say that Jason, what he says when he's not going to mess with the box and he's glad it's stopped with its powers, I'm happy with that as well. I won't mess with it.
Don't blame you.
If it's good for him, it's good for you.
Oh yeah, hands off. Told the story and kind of done thinking about it.
Thanks, Abby.
Thanks.
There's a weird smell over here. Yeah, I know. You know, Halloween for us, though, is our turning point toward a milder pattern